Good afternoon, colleagues and citizens, and welcome to the April 14th, 2016 Board of Education work session. Before we begin, let me just give my humble apologies for starting late today. I know how valuable your time is, and we apologize for making you wait, but we're ready to start some great work today. And as we start, I want to ask Ms. Quinteros-Grady to please lead us in the board prayer and pledge of allegiance. If we could all stand, please.
O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all education policies, being ever mindful of your guidance. Steer us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
Thank you, Ms. Quinteros-Grady. Mrs. Berkeley, would you please call the roll?
Administration. Dr. Anderson? Ms. Boston? Mr. Burrows? Ms. Epps? Ms. Eubanks? Ms. Hernandez? Ms. Jacobs? Ms. Perry? Ms. Quinteros-Grady? Ms. Roche? Mr. Valentine? Mr. Wallace? Ms. Williams? Dr. Eubanks?
Is Mr. Valentine not here? Check back in on Mr. Valentine. I think he might just have stepped out.
Okay.
Thank you. Colleagues, a couple of quick things before we move into our exciting work session. So I would ask, please, for a motion to adopt the April 14, 2016 board work session agenda. Moved by Ms. Boston, seconded by Ms. Eubanks. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. I'll next move to the minutes of March 22nd, 2016 board meeting. May I have a motion to approve? Moved by Ms. Eubanks. Anybody care to second? Seconded by Ms. Boston. It's been properly moved and seconded. Seeing any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. We'll move on to public comment. At this time, we have one registered speaker. Just a quick note on that. You've been registered to speak in public comment forum where the board will listen to your comments but cannot respond. You have 3 minutes to make your presentation. At the sound of the buzzer, please complete that sentence only. And if you have a written document of any kind, please make sure you leave it with Ms. Cherie Johnson, who's at the desk right there. And so with that, our registered speaker today is Pauline Alcidor. And I'm sure you'll correct how I butchered your name.
That was perfect.
It was
That's
perfect.
the first
There
time
you go.
anybody's ever said my name correctly. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope y'all reached here. Glad to see you all here safely. Today I'm not talking. I'm talking about teen pregnancy, which has unfortunately nothing to do with what you guys are going to be discussing later. I'm here on account that I am a registered nurse. I received my bachelor's degree from Boise State University. I'm currently pursuing my master's in the science of nursing from Chamberlain University. One of the requirements for my class, my current class, which is policy, is to speak about a policy we feel passionate about improving. So as a labor and delivery nurse, I often encounter, to back up, I work in a busy hospital in Montgomery County. We service a lot of teen parents from this county, from the next county, but the majority of the teenagers are from this county, so that's why I felt like as a board and as a community we can do better to better service the students and the members. So a couple of fast facts about teen pregnancy. It's a national issue. It's something that we're getting better on, but we still have room for improvement. It's still identified by the Centers for Disease Control as one of the major 6 health priorities. Compared to other countries, we're not doing so well, which is unfortunate. Maryland, though, we're doing okay still. We're kind of right in the middle. The national teen pregnancy rate was 57 teens per 1,000 mothers. And again, we just fall right in the middle of that. In Prince George's County, though, nearly 10% of babies that are born to teen mothers. So you might be wondering, why should we care about teen pregnancy rates? Obviously, it's an important social issue because teen mothers unfortunately aren't as successful as other parents. Teenagers, by definition, are just older children, right? So we all know they make mistakes. They're not the best communicators. They have other issues that are going on. Most importantly, their primary job should be to be educated, correct? So unfortunately, besides, missing out on education, they're more likely to have preeclampsia, anemia, and smaller children. Teen pregnancy, unfortunately, contributes to increased incarceration rates, there are financial consequences on taxpayers, and it's overall just not a good thing for the health of our community. So teen pregnancy is also cyclical. One time I had a patient that was around 32, and I actually delivered her daughter a week later. So that was just shocking. So in doing a lot of preparation for this policy, I wanted to look up, okay, what are we doing? How's it working? Could it be better? So currently, Prince George's County has a lot of resources, but kids aren't taking advantage of them. So my policy looks at sending the horse to the water. So that means just having them, So I'll finish up. So that just means having them do projects where they are forced, in a way, to go visit these clinics. Because of different laws that we have, they're allowed to get contraception without permission of adults, and a lot of them don't know that. And that can be a family issue, but unfortunately I've run out of time. If anybody would like to discuss this further or hear my policy, please feel free to email me. I'm going to leave this with her. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that presentation, and thank you for taking time, Ms. Alcedor, to come and speak to us today.
Thank you very much.
All righty. All right, colleagues, we will take care of the last piece of formal business, which is I will request a motion to confirm actions taken in executive session on Thursday, April 14th, 2016. Or not. Moved by Eubanks, seconded by Valentine. You keep trying to second, Miss. I'll give it to Miss Grady. Seconded by Miss Grady. I took your second away from me. It has been properly moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve actions taken in executive session on April 14, 2016 as follows: administrative matters, personnel appointments, legal matters, and student appeals. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. And now it's time for the fun to begin and to get down to the real work of talking about academic excellence and support for early learning readiness. I believe, board members, that some of us care a little bit about early readiness. Dr. Anderson, where are you? Oh. So this is a topic near and dear to our heart. We're very excited to learn more about it. And I will yield the floor. Am I yielding to Dr. Davis or to you? I yield the floor to Dr. Joseph, or as I like to call him, Dr. Scott. Dr. Joseph, at this time, to introduce this work session.
Thank you, Dr. Eubanks, members of the board. It was a year ago that we came together and we told you that, in Prince George's County, we only had 34% of our kindergartners ready for college. And I remember the board, I saw it, that might have been one of the most engaging board meetings we had, where board members delved into the data and, more importantly, said, okay, now that you told us this, what are y'all going to do about it? So a year has passed, and, people say it takes a village to raise a child, and we brought the village together. So I appreciate, and you'll see, board members, that we have a multitude of community members coming together, because addressing and making sure that our children are well in this community is a community affair. So last year, whereas we came by ourselves to tell you how things were going, this time the village is with us. And they're going to talk to you more specifically about, so what's the difference between last year where you told us 34% of kids were doing well? What have you done for this past year, and where are we going? Well, I will be able to tell you that on April 22nd, we will be receiving from the Maryland State Department of Education our kindergarten readiness performance for this year. And we're excited because we've worked hard, and we know it's going to be better than 34%. I can guarantee you that. Our goal for the district was to increase by 5 percentage points. So we said we were starting at 34%, and we expected to be at 39% at a minimum by this year. So on the 22nd, you'll see where we came there, but know that this staff has worked tirelessly because our kids just deserve the best. So today, you'll hear about what we've done, you'll hear about where we're going, and more importantly, you'll get involved to help us figure out how we make sure every child in Prince George's County Public Schools, and particularly our earliest learners, get what they need, because we know if they start off behind, cumulative deficits build over time. And the best way to eliminate a gap is to not have one by third grade. So we're committed to this work. I know you're committed to this work. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Laurie Barbie Matthews, who is going to introduce the village and begin with our presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Again, I'm Laura. Speak with you today. This is a marvelous time for us to work. Thank you. This is a wonderful time for us to work together. We are very grateful for this opportunity, and we look forward to many, many more exchanges regarding our work and the young children we serve. Today, we're going to look at our outcomes and share with you what we want to really give you some information so you can really get to know where we are. First of all, we will receive updates, or you will receive updates from the 2015 Early Childhood Board presentation. You will hear from community partners, including business, faith-based, university partners, about possible solutions to raising awareness around early learning issues, including school readiness. Participants will receive a proposed plan for universal pre-kindergarten and recommendations for possible next steps. Before we begin, I want to give an opportunity so you know who you will be working with today. Today, our team consists of the following, and I ask that the team members at least raise their hand. Andrea Cersei, pre-kindergarten instructional supervisor. Diane Bonani, coordinating supervisor, early childhood programs, special education. Melissa Kokonowski, ESOL instructional specialist. Sure, stand up, please. Thank you, sir. Lisa Sampson, Judy Center instructional supervisor. Dr. Christy Terrell Corbin from the University of Maryland, director, early childhood education, and executive director, Center for Early Childhood Education and Intervention. Dr. Viola Lynch, principal, Barnaby Manor Elementary School. Victoria Williams, pre-K resource teacher. Flora G, director, Greenbelt Children's Center. Also, we have Dr. Felder, Monique Felder, who is the executive director to the deputy superintendent of teaching and learning. She has been right there with us throughout the whole time, cheering us on. As you begin today, I want to give you an opportunity to also look what's on your table. On your table, you have a booklet. Your booklet academic excellence, supporting early learning readiness. We're going to be referring to this booklet throughout. So the team members and I will share some information that's inside the booklet. We will share with you some pages that we would like for you to talk, or we will talk together about as well. So please make sure you have this booklet handy for you at all times so we can look at. Now let's look at a year in review. We worked with 2015. We're going to really share with you what we've been doing with 2016. But before we do that, we have a little video. Now this video is really showcasing our pre-K program, our full-day pre-K program in one site. It is going to share with you some comments from teachers as well as parents. In addition to that, you're going to really see your pre-K students in action. But please be mindful of this. We are showing a full-day pre-K program. This is just one of them. Our goal is to have full-day pre-K program in all schools. And I'll say that again. Our goal is to have full-day pre-kindergarten programs in all schools. We like to convert those half-day pre-K sites we have now and make sure they're full day. So we're really looking forward to that concept of full day. But take a moment, take a little glimpse at what we're seeing with our full-day pre-K programs.
Shoulders, knees, toes. Say it. Ears, mouth, nose, head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Singing and anatomy mostly went together in a pre-kindergarten class recently. But even if some of the body parts got a little confused, there was no confusion about what's being accomplished in the county's newly revived full-day pre-K classes. At Cora Rice Elementary and 7 other schools in areas targeted for improved academic achievement, pre-K has gone from 2.5 hours to 6, a change that is being embraced by teachers and parents alike.
Do you think this makes a substantial difference to these young people?
I do. I think for me too, because I don't have to cram as much information in 2.5 hours, I can take my time and give it to them in several different ways during the 6-hour day than I did in the 2.5-hour day.
Was it half day last year or was it full day?
It was actually half day. He came to school at 11:30. Very hard, yes. Yeah, and then I already had one that was in 1st grade, so bringing him to school at 8 and then have to come back and bring him at 11, it was tough. But I'm glad it's full day now and it's a lot easier for the other parents.
While it all looks like plenty of fun, and it is and should be, the pre-K experience is closely tied to the Common Core curriculum and aims to give 4-year-olds a strong foundation for all the school years that lie ahead.
How do you spell Renee?
R-E-N-E-E, Renee.
Perfect. Get a gold star for that.
Definitely literacy and math. I also try to do some social emotional skills, simple math skills, but I try to push it as far as I can with the students that I have. I do a lot of names, colors, shapes. I try to get it all in there throughout the day. And luckily with the Common Core, as I have the standards I have to meet, but I can meet them in a creative way that'll get the child's attention. So I have that flexibility now.
It's learning how to write your name, things that they should know before they get to kindergarten is what prepared them in the pre-K class. So I think that's very important. And a lot of times, like you said, people are at a disadvantage, or the little kids are at a disadvantage because they just kind of go straight in, and then it's kind of putting them behind if they don't know those fundamentals. So I think the pre-K program is it's a great asset to the school system.
For the teachers and paraprofessionals who dance with the students, read with them, set up their learning centers, and even explain the basics of bowling, the need to be organized and creative never ends as they mix scholastics with socialization.
You stand up, put your fingers in like this, and you roll it. Try it. Now roll it. There you go. I try to keep it fast-paced. I try to make sure we're always on the go, we're always moving, because I know if I'm bored, they're bored. I try to prepare a week in advance, and I stay late the night before to prepare for the next day. So it takes a lot of time to be this organized, and I do it for the children because I know they need organization. They need to know that there's stability somewhere.
One thing I remember is my daughter, she's upset, and she said, "Mommy, when Miss Patterson's upset, she goes like this, And so that just made me laugh, just because of her excitement. And not only is a job for her, but you can tell that it's very important to her, and the kids mean a lot to her. So, love Miss Patterson.
I think that it's important for them to be able to socialize amongst one another, to understand one another, to be able to verbalize the way that they're feeling. But right here, I think it's very important for them to understand and to get the basic ground rules of how the system, the school works.
While it would be hard to assign a letter grade, the true value of full-day pre-K could be the confidence it instills.
All right, let's review for a moment. What is kindergarten readiness? Please look at your booklet on page 4. As you review it, I'll give you a little background information as well. Kindergarten readiness is a child's ability to demonstrate the foundational skills and behaviors in the domains of learning. In Maryland, our kindergarten readiness assessment measures the domains of language and literacy, mathematics, physical well-being and motor development, and social foundation. If you look at the graph at the top, in 2014-2015, our first administration, the data shows that the state of Maryland, 47% of Maryland kindergartners demonstrated readiness. 34% of Prince George's County kindergartners demonstrated readiness. During the fall, KRA is administered to all our incoming kindergartners, no matter where they're coming from. Every kindergarten coming into our classrooms are given the KRA. Age-appropriate performance tests and observations are conducted by the teacher to measure specific skills and determine what each kindergartner coming in the classroom knows and are able to do. If you look very carefully at the graph, you'll see that we have, again, the 34% demonstrating, we have 40% approaching, and 26% emerging. If you look in your booklet one more time, please look on page 5 in your booklet, and the terms are more defined. As Dr. Joseph mentioned, 2015, 2016, we do not have our scores as of yet. Our scores are embargoed. We will receive those scores April the 26th coming up. Once we receive those scores, we will be sharing information with you as well as our next steps in reference to what we need to do. In the meantime, because of the 2014-2015 scores, we had a strategic plan. We decided, what do we need to do to increase scores? So our goal was by 2020, June the 30th, we will show 5% gains. And each year, from now to 2020, we will show 5% gains. So therefore, you'll have an opportunity to see with us how we strategically plan this. Please look at your booklet now on page 11 and 12. With your table mates, I want you to take this opportunity. Look at that strategic plan. See what you see there. See what wonderings, what notices you may have. You're going to have an opportunity to work with your table mates for 5 minutes, and then we're going to come back and talk for additional 3 minutes. Let's try it now.
increase, like what, can you kind of interpret?
Sure. Every year from now, we want to make 5% gains.
Okay.
So by 2020, we're going to have increase those gains. For example, the 34 now of last year, this year we're hoping to have 39.
Right.
And next year, from 39 to the next 5, we want to so that we can meet the state goal, hoping to exceed it. 47%. Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's all right. You're fine, Ms. Eubanks. How are you doing? Good. How are you? I'm good. I think we are out of time, but you know we got so yeah. Thank you. And I don't know if it's 5 minutes up on me, and I've still got a little time for me to work on her. Yes. You have 1 minute to go. 1 minute warning. Okay. Please finish your sentence. And let's talk about your notices, your wonderings. We have on the side wonderful team that's helping us out to record those notices and wonderings. So let's hear from you. We have 2 minutes to talk about this. In addition to this, just keep in mind, if you have additional questions or concerns or some more information you want to share, you have note cards that are on your table. Please put that information on your note card, and we will get back with you as soon as possible with with the answers to your questions. So let's start off. Anyone have a notice, a wondering, a aha, or wow? We'd love to hear it. Ms. Boston.
About question 4. Quarter 4? Okay. And how, I noticed here that in this first paragraph in May of 2016 about the transforming neighborhoods, communities, the church, and the park and planning. So I want to know what plans do you have in place on advertising that to the community about these events that you're planning on having at those specific locations?
Sure. Her question's about the advertisement for the communities, Targeted Neighborhood Initiative, other communities as well. We have been out there already. When it comes to the advertisement of it, we have flyers and things that we share with the schools. We place them out to the schools to make sure they're there. We also have it in the community with our child care providers to make sure they're a part of it as well. So we're really out there making sure we have every element covered with it. Our resource teachers are there to help give that message out. We have worked with on the coma retreats. We worked on also some PTA meetings. We have a meeting coming up on Saturday that we're working with some child care providers for food and nutrition, to making sure that we have it. So we're out there in the community making sure we're there. We even, deeper in the conversation or in the presentation, I think you'll hear more information about how we're doing some of the things with the child care providers as well.
So quick follow-up on that. Could you just, as possible, maybe I'll write a card to this, but we'd love for the board to get a full list of all of the places that you've done this kindergarten readiness assessment workshops.
Sure.
Because we really would like to know about all that's going on and maybe even participate in some of them.
Great. We will provide you with the current ones, past ones, and any future ones as well. Okay? Dr. Joseph, I saw your hand. Okay. Gotcha.
My question was around, I see that we have a lot of things going on with empowering our teachers and supporting our students, but how do we continue this education at home with the parents? Do we send home homework or suggested activities or things like that so that we can continue to support this work that happens in the school at home?
We are working very closely with our Judy Centers, and you'll hear more information about that, how we work with our families at home. In addition to that, you're going to hear how we work with our parent engagement, Dr. Jackson, who is going to help us making sure that we're right there in connection with all our families. We're really in the folds of it. Of course, we have a Head Start programs that we utilize, and they get the information. As you know, Head Start has a family component. So we're right there working. We're at our beginning stages, but we're there. And we know that we have much more to go. We're enjoying what we have and the resources we have to get to the families. Okay? We have time for maybe one more question.
Hi. I was just wondering regarding the professional development and how important it is that we have continuity. Are the trainings mandatory for all our teachers? Because if we're investing in training and ensuring that our teachers are equipped, how do we ensure that the training is at 100% and that we work to retaining those great teachers?
Our trainings are usually offered during professional development days, the work day. So we make sure that they are a part of that professional development, that workday program. In addition, we do have some additional trainings that we have, but we have said that, yes, they are mandatory when it comes to especially some chosen schools that we know that need some little extra help with it. So yes, we are continuing to making sure that they are a part of it and asking that they participate with it. We take, of course, the attendance, and we share this information with the principals as well. That's our last question. Okay, one more statement, and we'll put it for the notices and wonderings. That's the last one we can get to. Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is a wondering from our team. How was the measurable outcome determined, and why perhaps could it be more ambitious?
Yes, it could have been more ambitious. You want to add or say?
Sure, I'll go ahead and add that. I'll take that one. Let me just jump up real quick. No, so we did work with a professor from the University of Maryland, Dr. Bob Lipschitz, and what he did was he looked at data from multiple years and predicted what would be challenging but yet attainable. You know, what we didn't want to do was just randomly just pick something, and so he used an analysis for all of the measures that we have in our strategic plan.
In addition to that, we wanted to make sure, Dr. Joseph, we hadn't gotten some of the information from the state yet. So we wanted to make sure that we were making reasonable by your decisions you have worked with, and we wanted to be sure that we were all on the same plane. So we appreciate everything that everyone has done. In addition to this, we want to hear more about our kindergarten possibilities and things that are happening, so Ms. Andrea Cersei will be here to assist us in that.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andrea Cersei, the instructional supervisor over the pre-kindergarten and kindergarten programs, and I'm here to talk to you about some of the things that we've done in a year in review. And I heard the questions coming up, and then one of the questions focused on professional development. When we were last here last year, we did say we were going to target professional development for our teachers. And we knew that this was necessary because in order to show increase on those KRA scores, we had to have a focus on the standards so that our teachers had a clear understanding of what those standards that the Maryland State Department of Education, what do those pre-K, college, and career readiness standards say? What do they mean? Not only what do they mean, but what do they look like when you're trying to teach that standard to a bunch of 3- and 4-year-olds, keeping them active and engaged, whether it be for 2.5 hours or for a full day. The standard remains the same, but it all turns in how do you purposely use that time to address the standards. So we did have a focus of professional development throughout the course of the year, and we started by looking at what the system was doing because pre-K falls right in line with the K-12 program, and there was a focus from teaching and learning on writing. So we said for our teachers, we wanted to focus our efforts in looking at those writing standards. What is available for pre-K in the area of writing? What those standards look like, and how do you teach them to 3- and 4-year-olds so that by the end of that year, they're demonstrating academic readiness for kindergarten standards. So using our grant funds from the expansion grant, we do have professional development days built into the calendar, but we went above and beyond those 3 allocated days and used our expansion grant funds to provide teachers, with the opportunity to have an additional 4 days of training. Those 4 days of training were provided for 1 training each month for 4 consecutive months with a certified early childhood consultant who focused on the Maryland pre-K standards. The teachers looked at those standards, had conversations about those standards, and talked about how they could implement those standards throughout the course of the day to ensure that by the end of the year, students have mastered each one of those standards. At the end of each one of the sessions, teachers were provided with an assignment, so to speak, to go back into their classroom to deliver instruction to their students, to be able to record samples of the writings, to be able to see how did students internalize the standards, to see what were their strengths, their weaknesses, areas of challenges, what things can we suggest to have better improvement when it surrounds those standards. And we found that by having that consistent professional development with a cohort, so teachers came back every month with that same group, that it built relationships amongst our teachers. They were able to reach out with their colleagues when they had additional questions in between the times of the trainings, and that gave them the opportunity to build those colleague relationships. So we found that teachers having that consistent training each month helped to build and strengthen the teacher's understanding of writing in the pre-K classroom, but also work to build our students' understanding of writing. So what we're going to do is actually look at some of those writing samples. So here you have the pre-K standards, some of the pre-K writing standards. And one of those standards say that our children should be using letter-like shapes, symbols, letters, and words to convey meaning. And we should also be developing fine motor skills necessary for students to control and sustain handwriting. So you're looking on the left, one of our students named Aria. In October, this is Aria's expression, her writing. For pre-K, it starts off through pictures. So you see Aria expressing her writing of what she feels that she looks like, and I'm assuming this is one of her friends in the picture, and maybe they were talking about the letter 4 in squares. Whole lot of interpretation, but that's my interpretation of Aria's writing here. So you can see that Aria, when spelling her name, she used all capital letters, and that she had limited body parts, but you're seeing a beginning understanding of her awareness about herself and the use of letters. Now, when you go over to the right-hand side of your screen, this is Aria in the spring, and look at how the standards move on to recognizing that their name begins with a capital letter. So you see she still has that capital letter, but now Aria has some understanding that only the first letter of my name begins with a capital letter. And you're seeing she's using that standard to print lower and uppercase letters in first name. And that's one of those kindergarten readiness standards that when students are taking that KRA, they're able to write their name using the correct lower and uppercase letters. So just there's Aria from the fall to the spring. Here's Eckner, and Eckner's responding, his writing again through pictures. This is how our children begin to start the writing process, is responding to one of the stories that the teacher read. And in this story, the mouse is standing. You see the mouse down at the bottom under the tree? The mouse is standing there looking at the lion, and he's going to go up on the lion and chew the net. So interpretation that, see, those squiggly lines are probably the lion's net. All age appropriate for a child to begin the writing process by using pictures. Now we have children responding to compare and contrast. Yes, we do compare and contrast in pre-K. So this student, again, is responding through writing by having her pictures showing her comparing and contrasting two versions of Little Red. On both stories from the picture on the left, Wolf tied up Grandma and put her in the closet. But the difference between the two stories in the second version of Little Red used a cell phone to call 911 to get Grandma out. All developmentally appropriate for our students to begin the process in writing by pictures, and then eventually we start to see them move up in the process of using more letters and then words to share their writing. So I'd like to call up now Melissa Kokonowski, who's going to speak to you about some initiatives that we have been doing since we last met. Melissa's from our ESOL office, and she will speak to you about initiatives targeted to our ELL learners.
Good afternoon. The ESOL and early childhood offices have been collaborating for many years to build the knowledge and skills of early childhood educators. We've focused around meeting the needs of ELLs and provided programs, services, and professional development opportunities. Since 2012-13, ESOL, early childhood, and special ed have collaborated with the George Washington University. We've offered 4 certificate programs entitled Promoting Equity for Early Childhood Educators. It provides graduate-level courses for early childhood educators across the county. It's focused on meeting the needs of ELLs. Since 2012-13, we have had 4 cohorts and serviced 85 teachers. We are starting our last cohort this summer, which will provide support for an additional 14 teachers. We have also offered county-based professional development around meeting the needs of English language learners through our office, and we have brought in Head Start and pre-K teachers and taught them strategies specific for meeting the needs of early childhood ELLs. Most recently, as referenced in the strategic plan, we offered the SIOP professional development. It was a workshop for 44 early childhood educators from 22 schools. SIOP is Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol, and it's a research-based planning and lesson delivery system. It was developed by the U.S. Department of Education, and this system helps teachers to present content and make it more accessible to English language learners. It's comprised of 8 components and 30 features, and it aligns with the framework for teaching. It helps teachers to highlight key language features for their students and incorporate strategies to increase student interaction. It's currently being used in all 50 states in the U.S. Additionally, this year in January, we implemented Waterford in 6 schools with the lowest KRA scores, with high ELL populations: Thomas Stone, Glass Manor, Riverdale, Doswell Brooks, Oaklands, and Cool Spring. Waterford is a research-based program which students use, and it provides personalized learning on reading, math, social studies, science, and executive functioning. Like the child pictured here, students engage with Waterford for 15 minutes a day. It's proven to help close the achievement gap and aids teachers in monitoring their students' progress. Currently, we are working with the University of Maryland, Baltimore County on a professional development grant, which, if accepted, would begin in July and span for 5 years. This opportunity will incorporate a professional development program for early childhood educators, as well as a community engagement program, which would empower the English learner parents with information about their child's education. If granted to us, over the next 5 years, 262 early childhood educators, 108 administrators, and 600 families would be provided with training and support. Next, Diane Bonani, the Early Childhood Special Education Coordinating Supervisor, will share with you about early interventions and inclusive opportunities.
Good afternoon, everybody. My pleasure to be here. Hello. Today I get to talk about my favorite subject, which is birth to 5, children right up until the age they enter kindergarten. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about children in this age group that have developmental delays or are at risk for developmental delays. Let me get this where we're going here. So when we look at this age group, you could wonder, what is the impact on school readiness? How do we improve school readiness in this age group? And what's the long-term impact? So data will tell us that there's 2 factors that really influence our youngest learners: early intervention and inclusive opportunities. So for a minute, before we jump into that first bullet, I want to share some enrollment information with you. So our enrollment in our infants and toddlers program and in our preschool program go up every year. The infants and toddlers serves 1,500 to 1,700 children on any given day. And our preschool program, which is preschool special ed, serves 3- and 4-year-olds, same amount of children. So some children come in and then leave, and then some children go straight through infants and toddlers and go into the preschool special education program. So given those numbers, if you look at that first bullet, 68% of children who are enrolled in early intervention services are enrolled in general education by 3rd grade. That's a pretty significant impact. You have a lot of children making a lot of progress when they receive quality early intervention services. So these children are in their general education program. They are not receiving IEP services at that point in time. So early intervention tells us that these children do better in the long run academically. So early intervention would be the first factor in terms of improving school readiness. And then the second factor would be inclusive opportunities. So what do I mean by that? Children progress at a higher rate when they have access to typical peers. So we want to look at inclusion opportunities for all of our children. And we all know that inclusion doesn't mean all the way in or all the way out. It's really based on individual needs and building a continuum of services where we build on students' strengths, young children's strengths, versus just looking at needs. So if you look at our inclusion data for Prince George's County, you can see in 2012 we had 40% of our preschoolers in general ed settings. So when I talk about general ed, I'm talking about preschool, whether it's public, private, the Little Red Schoolhouse, Head Start, all of those opportunities for children to participate in a general education setting. By 2015, 58%. So we met our state target of 56% for our kids to be included in general education programs. If you look at national data, if you look at state data with our other local jurisdictions, as LRE opportunities or services in the least restrictive environment or inclusion opportunities, as that increases, the achievement data goes up. So I think that's builds a really strong case for making sure that we're looking at opportunities to build on our children's strength and bring services and supports to where they are going to be with their typical peers in their neighborhoods. So let's take a minute and look at the achievement data around this group of children. So we are going to look at, I'm going to refer you to your resource book on page 48. And there's a little bit more information there. I'm going to kind of give you the nutshell version, but you'll see additional information there. So we are going to look at preschool indicators, and this is how we measure progress in this group of children. So infants and toddlers has preschool indicators, these three that you'll see up here: personal, social, use of knowledge, appropriate behaviors to meet needs. They get it upon entry into the program and upon exit, and then at each annual review. So we do it for our infants and toddlers, and then when they transition, we do it for our preschool program. So what does that tell us? It tells us how much progress a child has made from beginning to end of the program or intervention services. It tells us at the annual review how we modify our instruction and what the areas of strengths and needs are. And it also talks to us about program effectiveness. So when we look at our trend data in putting kids in inclusive opportunities, as that has increased, so has our achievement data. So we are following national trends. We have increased in personal social, 3%, 10% in use of knowledge, and 7% in appropriate behaviors as it relates to our state targets. So we are making consistent gains as our LRE data continues to grow. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about strategies. You know, it's a given that good instruction, differentiated instruction, individualized instruction, professional learning opportunities. So those are given strategies. Those are all our go-to strategies. But when we're really looking at building a capacity and maximizing our resources, we have to look at other strategies too. So let's start with rigorous child find outreach and public awareness. We have to find every kid that may be eligible. We can't have children out there that are eligible, that are demonstrating developmental delays, that are not getting early intervention services. So we have to be very rigorous. How do we do that? The Infants and Toddlers program has to develop an extensive public awareness plan. We work with hospitals, doctors, clinics within the community and with outside of our community too, in Baltimore or Washington, to make sure that everybody knows how to make a referral. We work with our early learning office and our community preschools to talk about what those appropriate referrals look like, and to make sure we put all kinds of strategies in place before we go to a child find referral. So that's one strategy. The next three strategies are related to creating inclusive opportunities, giving children services in the least restrictive setting based on how it looks for that particular child. Increased preschool opportunities. What is that? This is a really, I think, neat idea. It's a win-win for everybody. Typical peers in the community that are 2 and 3 years old, families can come register at an early childhood center, and they get to come to school 2 or 3 days a week. So they have a cost-free opportunity to be in an early childhood program, and they provide the typical peers for our children with special needs. And we have these classes at all our early childhood centers, and we run the registration and everything in collaboration with the early learning office. So parents that are registering a 4-year-old might think about registering their 2 and 3-year-old, and these are at the early childhood sites.
One quick question from our table was, this information that you're sharing, is it inside of our book? And if
yes,
so,
it's on
where?
page 48. It's
Okay.
a question in the FAQs.
48, thank you.
Yep. And I can certainly provide more information when we see what questions are written down.
Thank you.
Increased co-taught classes. So in our early childhood centers, we have co-taught pre-K, we have co-taught Head Start. We have increased our seats from 140 for kids with special needs to 240. So what that looks like is we have a general educator and para, and then we have a general special educator and para in the same class. We have 10 kids with IEPs. We have 10 kids without IEPs. So that is provides an opportunity for our kids with fairly significant disabilities to be in a general education classroom. And then the last strategy is an increase of services at boundary schools. So when we're looking at our students and we're participating with families in an IEP meeting, we are not saying, what are the needs and where do we take you? We are saying, what are your strengths? And what are some things you may need, and how do we get that to you in your community? And that's where the conversation starts. So last year, we had 130 kids receiving services in their community preschool, in their church preschool, in their Head Start, in their pre-K, and this year we have 185, and that's been our trend. So these kids that are getting IEP services in their boundary school, they are going on to transition into their general ed kindergarten. I'm getting the signal, so I have about 1 minute if anyone has a question. And it is expanded in your resource on page 48. I'm going to hand it back over to Andrea.
Okay, we're going to go on to more of our initiatives from last year that we spoke of, and that includes our grant partnerships. Hey, Diane, I need the clicker. Thank you. If you turn to page 13 of your booklet, Prince George's County Public Schools is the recipient of several early childhood grants, which are located on page 13 of your booklet. We're going to highlight 2 of the grants that you see listed there, and our reasoning for highlighting these 2 grants is because both of these grants have supported our efforts to provide full-day pre-K within our county. They've also increased our efforts to service families that we do not traditionally serve by our pre-K program. The first grant we have is the pre-K expansion grant from the state side. So you see the amount that's listed there. And again, the goal of that grant was to expand access to full-day programs by converting half-day programs to full-day or by implementing new full-day programs, increase the quality of the pre-kindergarten program, target recruitment to traditionally underserved groups, as well as increase kindergarten readiness in low-performing domains. When we think about the families that we typically service, traditionally are servicing for pre-K, those families are at 185% of the federal poverty guidelines. That is their threshold for income guidelines to be eligible for our programs. So what that means is that a family of 4, they cannot exceed $44,863 for the year. That is their threshold. However, under this pre-K expansion grant, it has allowed us to be able to open up the access to our pre-K programs because the pre-K expansion grant allows us to take families up to 300% of the federal poverty guidelines. So the family of 4 that we would traditionally serve would be at $44,863. Under this grant, that same family of 4, their threshold is now $72,750. So we've greatly increased the access to the program. So you see the full-day sites that are located, that are participating in this grant, and you still do see half-day sites, though we were unable to transform them to full-day sites. We are able to give access to families that we did not traditionally serve thanks to this grant. The second grant is following again with the pre-K expansion grant, but this is coming from the state, but on the federal government side. Has the same goals of the state expansion grant, and we have the 4 schools that are participating in this grant for the federal side. These schools were selected because they met the qualification of having 65% of ELL students or higher as a school population. The difference between the state grant and the federal grant, one, the expectation of the 65% ELL population, these students can qualify up to 200%. So with the state grant, it was 300%. With the federal grant, these families qualify at the 200% of the federal poverty guidelines, and those families would make a threshold of $48,500. So again, giving increase to the families that were able to give access to our programs. What I'd like for you to do is look on page 13 of your book at all of our early childhood grants that we have. Look at the grants, the description, the partners, the amounts, and the time frame, and just take a moment to see if you have any notices or wonderings, because we'll give about 1 minute, page 13 of your booklet, to see if you have any notices or wonders that we can capture. If we could have the lights. Oh, I think our guy left. Let's see if he can come back. Thank you.
Hi. So if I'm understanding correctly, the grants, these are federal grants?
They're a combination of federal and state grants, yes.
Federal and state. And then in order for you to go after this funding, it's based on you serving our low-income population in specific communities.
For the state grant, it says up to 300%. And then for the federal grant, which is on there, it's up to 200%. Head Start is focusing on the lower income families. The Judy Center is open to families that are within their catchment area.
Okay.
Yes, and that covers those.
So then that's a way of diversifying who you serve and trying to expand, like you said, and looking for partnerships and where you are able to expand those services. So the grant where you had Kenmore, North Forestville, that's to sort of expand and not necessarily be limited to the income, correct?
It goes up to 200%, so it increased slightly.
Okay.
The families that we can serve, not as much as what happened on our state side, which went to 300. This one is up 200%. Still increased servicing families that we did not traditionally serve.
But once again, these particular funding sources are based on criteria that you have to meet in order to apply for and be eligible.
Yes, and we picked as many schools as we could get in there down to the wire to see how we could do these. And as we're up for renewal, we'll go back and look and work with Dr. Golson's office to see where can we put more programs. As you see, some of these grants are up for renewal now, so we'll be going back to see where can we increase opportunities.
And I've noted, so in the list that you all have, most likely there aren't a lot of these programs in the north, and that's probably due to space.
But we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Thank you for your time. We have one more, and then we'll move on.
Just a point of clarification on the federal expansion grant. It lists on the slide $881,000. On page 13, it lists over $1 million.
And I do apologize. You're absolutely right. We started off with $881,000, and the state came back and said, if you have some opportunities, we have some additional funding. So we did take those additional funding opportunities and increase the amount of that award. So I do apologize. But what's in the book is indeed correct. I now would like to introduce Ms. Lisa Sampson, who is the supervisor of our Judy Centers. And Ms. Sampson will come to talk to you about the new early childhood initiatives.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa Sampson, and I am the instructional supervisor for the Judy Centers. And we are so excited to have an opportunity to give you some information about the wonderful work we're doing with children and families in Prince George's County through our Judy Centers. First, I'd like for you to refer in your book to page 29. And this gives you a brief description of our Judy Center programs. However, I would also like to give you some background information and history about why the Judy Centers are so near and dear to the hearts of people in Prince George's County. As an early education coordinator from Prince George's County Public Schools, Judith P. Hoyer lamented the gaps available for low-performing students and families. In the 1990s, she created a central location in Adelphi, Maryland, for important early childhood services, thus fostering cooperation between governmental and private agencies around the needs of local families. Thus, we have the beginning of our Judy Centers. In the past, Judy Centers have been visited by the former Secretary of Health and Human Services, Secretary Kathleen Sebelius, and also the Prince George's Community Foundation to showcase the comprehensive services offered at the Judy Centers. In order to understand the support that we provided to our child care providers, we need to give you a little bit more background information about what we do at the Judy Centers. First, our funding comes from the following sources. The Cool Spring Judy Center, located at Cool Spring Elementary School, is funded by a grant from the state. The Carmody Hills Judy Center was funded by a Race to the Top funding, but now is supported by our school system. The Samuel Chase Judy Center was funded through the Prince George's Local Management Board, and now is continuing through support from our school system. One thing that you need to understand, Judy Centers must include the following. We have to have pre-K, kindergarten, preschool, and special education programs. We must be partners with the Maryland Infants and Toddlers Program. We must collaborate with the Family Support Network. We have to collaborate with our child care providers to ensure the availability of high-performing, high-quality child care centers for our children. We have to have a partnership with the Family Support Network. And we must integrate the following community partners: public libraries, Child Care Resource Center, Head Start, Healthy Families, and our Family Support Center. Now to talk about the support we provided to our child care providers. The Prince George's County Public Schools Strategic Plan for Early Learning served as the foundation for our child care provider pilot. The Judy Center went into partnership with 6 child care providers this year in this pilot program to support the Maryland Excels program. If you turn to page 49 in your FAQ section of your booklet, you will get a definition of what Maryland Excels is. And Maryland Excels is a quality rating improvement system that awards ratings to child care providers from 1 to 5. The Judy Centers provided support to the child care professionals in Prince George's County in collaboration with other agencies that support the child care professionals in reaching the highest level within the rating system. One partner that we partner with is the Prince George's Child Resource Center. They have supported the professional development training along with the Maryland Excels Quality Assurance Specialists assigned to Prince George's County. With support of the Judy Center partnership, we were able to train our child care professionals, and it was about 27 child care professionals, in some of the following areas this year: developmental screenings, including all children and the American Disabilities Act, a Maryland Excels overview, and techniques in behavior management. The Judy Center does a lot of activities to engage parents and family with children from ages birth to 5. And that is significant to the work that we do in school readiness in supporting all children and families. The next thing that I would like to share with you is one of our family engagement activities, which is unique to our Judy Center, because you're going to hear some other activities that have occurred this year throughout the county to engage our children and families. But this parent activity is called the Parent Cafe. On the end of your table, you should have a folder that looks like this. And I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what is inside your folder and the significance of each item. At a parent cafe, it is set up like a parent party. And the party is to engage the families in becoming better families. And one of the things that we do, we have what is called a table host. If you are a table host, you get a list of instructions of your do's and your don'ts. And this card here, the next card, is your table host do's and don'ts. And one of the parameters in the parent cafe, because we hosted a parent cafe last night and we had about 14 parents show up at the Samuel Chase Judy Center, whatever happens at the parent cafe stays at the parent cafe. So that is an opportunity for us to be able to get elicit some real healthy conversations with our families and also provide support along the way, because we find that our parents, it's very challenging being a parent, especially being a parent in this day and age with technology and everything else, because I found out some things last night that is happening with our little ones that are 6 and 5 and 4 that I was just like, oh my goodness. So the next item we have is your agenda. And each parent cafe, you have what is called a theme. Last night, our theme on the top is full-time job, full-time parent, finding balance. So each one of the topics are topics that are relatable to any parent throughout Prince George's County. And we have held parent cafes at all 3 of our Judy Centers this year. We then have our parent cafe agreements. And this is how we're going to communicate with one another. It's not about talking about, well, my friend told me this. No, everything is an I statement. Everything that you talk about refers to your experiences so you can get support with anything that you bring up. Now, on the left side, these are our cafe conversation starters. And with the cafe conversation starters, there are 5 protective factors that are research-based that support parents becoming healthy parents and also families becoming stronger parents. And those protective factors are resilience, relationships, knowledge, support, and communication. This parent cafe and the parent cafes are sponsored through the Maryland Family Network, and that is one of the partners that we must partner with as a Judy Center. And these parental protective factors have been shown that once we have an opportunity to work with parents, they help to decrease child abuse and neglect and also provides a network of support for our families. One of the things that we try to do at each parent cafe is to have a community provider come in and provide some information to our families to support them in any area of their life. Last night we had a representative from MedStar, and she came in yesterday and last night, and she talked about different things that parents can do to keep themselves safe, number 1, to keep their children safe, number 2, and number 3, how to better improve their overall health and wellness in order to support their families. And that is the approach of the Judy Centers. The Judy Center looks at the entire child. We look at the entire family. We build a network of support around that family in order to support the family, the child, in order to make sure that children are ready for school. We also look at the academic portion of readiness, but we also make sure we look at the entire family. In the back of, and there's one more thing that I want to share with you. This is our most significant portion. We do an evaluation, and there are some sample evaluations in your folder. It is our parent commitment card. Each parent, based on a theme, they must write a commitment to themselves. And in that commitment, it's committing to something that they learned within the parent cafe last night. And the overarching theme last night was communicating and communicating well with your children. And the wonderful thing about this goes back into an envelope. They self-address the envelope, and guess what? It comes back to you at a time when you need it the most. And last night we had an opportunity to engage about 15 parents in this parent cafe process. Next, I would like to also introduce Dr. Christy Terrell Corbin. She is going to, do you have questions? Oh, okay. Any questions? Okay.
Okay. You said that the Judy Center works with some schools, some Title I schools.
Okay.
And I thought you identified 3.
It's 3 schools.
It's like Cool Spring,
Samuel Chase Elementary School,
Samuel Chase,
and Carmody Hills Elementary School.
Okay. And I wondered how those schools were selected and how do, something about the schools.
The schools are Title I schools.
They're Title I, that's one.
And they are in areas where there is support needed in those areas. Carmody Hills was selected through Race to the Top. Samuel Chase was selected to support the southern end of the county because the idea was we have a northern Judy Center, we have a southern Judy Center, we have a centralized Judy Center, and that's how we base our support to children and families. So in the child care provider support, what we did as a Judy Center, we looked at the providers within our catchment area And any family that resides within the attendance area for the school, they are a Judy Center family. So families do not have to sign up. All they have to do is contact we have 3 program coordinators, and you're an automatic Judy Center partner, parent that can participate in the programs.
And I want to commend you for that, and I think this is absolutely excellent. But I'm wondering if any attention is paid to diversity in the schools, or just to ensure that we're hitting various groups in the county with the same need.
Well, I'm glad you said something about that. Good. One of the opportunities that we do have by reaching out to our child care providers, that has given us another opportunity to reach out to some more diverse areas of need, because we have tried to network ourselves in a way that we can support the children and families that are not only within the catchment area, but also through the support of our early learning office. We've now been able to extend that as support just a little bit further.
Okay, and regarding the 3 schools that you selected, are they diverse schools?
Yes.
I know Cool Springs is 95% Hispanic. Do we have a similar situation existing with the other 2 schools?
The other 2 schools, they're not as diverse as Cool Spring. They share diversity with, it depends on what you're talking about when you say diversity.
Racial, ethnic diversity.
They are, they're diverse in the racial identity of the students, just a few. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
So as a follow-up, we can give you the breakdown of the demographics of the schools.
The demographics for the schools.
Yeah, I'm just curious if the parent cafes that you do are just for Judy Center areas, or have you spreading that good expertise across the county to other places?
This year it was a pilot, so we've done it at just the Judy Center areas, but we would like to have an opportunity to expand those opportunities through collaboration with our other office, the Family Engagement Office for the school system. But for this year, it's just been at the 3 Judy Center sites.
Sorry, I thought I heard the number 15 in terms of how many people attended, I think, last night's Parent Cafe. So what is the capacity for a typical parent cafe?
The capacity is between 15 and 20, because we like to have small groups. If we have more table hosts, then we would be able to expand it larger, but the capacity right now is between 15 and 20. Any other questions?
Of the 15, how many of them were fathers? And is there any effort, additional effort to reach out to fathers? And the second question is around, do we survey parents to determine what they're doing at home with their children? So for example, how many of you have read to your children at night, at least, 3 times a week? How many of you have taken your child to a cultural event museum at least once a month? And whether we could use that data to draw any correlations with student improvement. Before I joined the board, I was surveyed about my children. They both go to John Hanson Montessori, and I received a survey that asked me, again, sort of how many days a week do you read to your child? How often do you take your child to a cultural event? What type of vocabulary words do you use with your children? And I think that data could be useful in trying to promote those type of activities to other parents to say, 85% of parents who read to their children at least 3 times a night, we saw gains in reading by this much. And so the first question is around, engagement of father, but the second question is around how we can survey parents to find out what they're doing at home, to use that data to promote parents to continue to do that type of thing.
I am proud to announce that last night we did have a father that did come attend, a father, and we've had, at our other engagement activities, we've had a couple fathers show up. The Judy Centers, what we do at the beginning of each year, we do a parent survey, and we ask those type of questions to our parents, and that's how we gauge how we're going to develop our family engagement calendars for the year. So through the Judy Centers, we do a parent engagement survey that asks several questions. They ask about the number of books, like you said, how many times you read to your children at home. We even ask questions about their education background, what are their educational aspirations. So we do a comprehensive family engagement survey.
In addition, I want to add, and I'll help you with the mic. I think this one you can hear. In addition, I want to add that not only through our Julie Centers, because remember, we're a partnership with our Early Childhood Office. So we have our Head Start program that does needs assessment. It also does surveys. Our Early Childhood program, when we say pre-K, we have some other surveys that are going on. So we really do make sure we're getting the whole piece of what the needs are the parents based on the different assessments we're doing. Our several surveys that we're utilizing to get the information. We take that information, we look at it and see what we need to do next with it. With both entities, or all entities, we have that collaboration, again, from the family service workers we have with Head Start, with our Judy Center partnerships we have, with our family or child care providers. We get surveys for them. We get a lot of surveys that we maybe have to redesign it for just one ultimate survey of how we want to address those needs of our parents.
Any other questions?
I think just like we are encouraged by this and would look to expand it to other schools, I love some of the evaluation questions that help to build community among parents. So things like, I realize I'm not alone in my challenges. I met someone I'd like to get together with again. I'd like to participate in other things in my community. I think that's a side benefit of this that we should look to expand to.
Okay.
Any questions you may have, please put them on your note cards that are there, and we'll capture that and get back with you with some more information. Okay?
I'm going to try to make it brief.
Sure.
I have a question on how are we reaching out to our daycare providers to be able to expand some of the work that we're doing, because I know, reality that we can't capture all of our early children coming into our system. But what are we doing to kind of reach out to those daycare centers to try to provide some of the skill sets that we know that we need to have them to do with the kids to have them prepared for when they be able to come into school?
Like Ms. Barbie Matthews said, we're in partnership with the Prince George's Child Resource Center. And what we do, we collaborate with them to support the child care providers, and we also share information with them about what we're doing in the school system, because one of the things that they wanted to see is more collaboration between the school system and the child care providers. So that's one of our community partners. And the heart of the Judy Center is the collaboration, because without our community partners, we really can't do all the things that we do. So we do need our community partnership. And that segues into Dr. Corbin, and she's going to talk about the Early Childhood Summit and the other activities that we've done with to engage our community partners.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon to talk to you about the wonderful collaborations that exist around early childhood education and early childhood special education in Prince George's County. Not knowing that Dr. Joseph was going to start his talk by referring to us all as the village, I actually had a title for my talk, and it is The Power of the Village. So thank you for that nice segue. And I think what you've heard thus far today and what you will hear throughout our time together for the rest of the afternoon is that there is an amazing collection of expertise and energy and commitment around improving the lives and learning of children and families in Prince George's County. I think that without a doubt the staff in early childhood and early childhood special education in this county needs to be commended for their hard work and their dedication. I can tell you personally that I am in constant communication with Laura Barbie Matthews and Diane Bonani. We text, we talk, we email, we meet about all kinds of things. They are tirelessly dedicated to this work. And I think you can see that in what you've heard today. So in that vein, a task force was formed last year, and the task force was really focused on preparing children for school readiness. And it was in part in response to KRA data, but I think it also reflects the commitment that individuals in this county have to young children. The task force met on 4 occasions. The first one was in July, the second October, the third in January, and most recently in March there was a task force summit. Can you move that forward, please? I don't have my glasses on. Those of you whose arms are not long enough like mine anymore can relate to that. So as you can see, the task force represents a large number of organizations. And what I would like to do right now is ask everyone who works for one of those organizations or who is a part of the task force to please stand and be recognized. So please stay, please continue to stand. If you are a member of the Judy Center Steering Committee, please stand and be recognized. And if you are a member of the Early Childhood Advisory Launch Council, please stand and be recognized. There's something I want you to notice. What did you notice? Mostly women. That's right. What else do you notice? Nothing else? Mostly women. So we're welcoming men. We're looking, recruiting. Anything else? A lot of the same people. So you may all sit down now. And I think that's an important theme of what I want to talk with you about today, is that a lot of the same people are working tirelessly and in multiple ways to improve the lives and learning of young children. And so one of the suggestions that came out, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but one of the suggestions that has consistently been raised was, can we consolidate our efforts so that we can work together in a more collective way with this common goal? Now, there are certain expectations of a Judy Center, for example, or the Judy Centers in the state of Maryland. There are certain things that they must do. They must have reviews in advance of annual site visits, et cetera, that would require a specialized meeting. But through the efforts of Diane Bonani and Laura Barbie Matthews and Nicole Johnson, who is here, who co-chairs the Launch Council with Diane, there have been multiple conversations about consolidating those efforts into one committee and having specialized committee meetings when necessary. So that's something that has really come out of this effort and the collective good work of all of these individuals. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about specific to the task force are the subcommittees within the task force. And there are several of them, and if you look on page 14 of your booklet, you will see a description of each subcommittee, as well as the members of those subcommittees. So I think the explanations of what each committee is focused on are pretty self-explanatory, but I do want to highlight some of the good work that has come out of that effort. So first of all, thinking about servicing the community. The idea here is to develop joint goals, of course, across these very different type of organizations, so that we can work together on a common thread. So it may well be, and I think a couple people at least in this room would appreciate a common goal of increasing father participation in efforts in Prince George's County. So we might identify that as a common goal that we work toward. It's interesting, I was in another meeting this morning in the District of Columbia, and the same exact question was asked about dads. So it wasn't him, it was not him, he has not been following me all day, but I think it is an issue that we really need to attend to, and one which actually can bring a lot of good. There is an initiative in the county championed by Sandra Shiver over here, who has brought a number of fatherhood programs together, has a fatherhood initiative in the county. I have a grant program that's based at Wheatley Early Childhood Center, and last year as part of that grant program, Sanders actually convened a fatherhood group. So there are efforts, but those are efforts that could be expanded. Another goal that I think you should be aware of, or effort that came out of the subcommittee work, is around the work of building sustainable communities. Now, if you look at the list, you see that that's focused on things such as food, so food banks. And there are food banks of various places all over the county. I was at a school last week where they were setting up for a food bank, and there was an amazing line of people and an incredible effort to ensure that that food was delivered to those in need. It's also about relationships. But I also want to highlight another example of an effort. And this one was really championed by the Prince George's Resource Center. Marty Wurstel. Marty is not here today. Many of you probably know Marty. She's been doing great work in this county for decades. But a while ago, we were at a meeting when Marty brought a very important issue to the table that might surprise most of us. And that is that a good number of families are struggling so much financially that rather than throw out a wet diaper, they hung the diapers to dry so they could use them again. Now, for many in this room, sorry, that gets me a little choked up. For many in this room, that's not something we ever had to think about when we were raising our own children. But for many others, that is an issue. So as a result of that, and in response to that identified need, they have now started a diaper bank with a grant from Walmart at Prince George's Resource Center. That's a need that exists in this county that the collective work of this group, but largely led by the Resource Center, has responded to. Another subcommittee is focused on the achievement gap. Broadly defined, the achievement gap between racial groups, the achievement gap between those in special education and those who are not in special education. And Andrea Searcy has provided us with a lot of data. We've dug deeply into those data. There's still more digging to do. But we're trying to better understand what those KRA data from last year tell us. Now we're about to get new data, so we'll dig into that too. But we want to know such things as, well, we look at a child in one particular category. For example, we may look at a child whose prior care has been child care, but we don't look across groups. So do we know that every child who's in child care has had the exact same experience? No. So look more deeply, disaggregate. Our center, okay, is that 5 minutes or you're done? 5 minutes, okay. Our center at the University of Maryland is actually doing the Race to the Top statewide evaluation for the Early Learning Challenge Grant, and we are actually digging deeply into KRA data to better understand it. So that's information we hope to be able to bring to you. So that's the KRA piece that I think is important for you to know, that we are very concerned about those scores. We will look carefully at the new scores that are to come, so that we can better understand and identify those areas of strength where there is exemplary teaching and what we can learn from those teachers and share with others. The last thing I want to talk to you about relative to the task force is the outcome of this summit. So in your booklet, you will see a table. Parts of it are highlighted in yellow. And those were key findings that, can you tell me the page number? Starting on page 21, key findings or messages, takeaways from that early childhood summit that was held in February. In general, the common themes and suggestions or takeaway messages were as follows. Number one, that collaboration matters, that we all need to be working together across agencies and domains. And that would be work that would be important for, as Dr. Eubanks suggested, wanting to know when these events are held in the county, for board members to be involved in and members of the county council to be involved in, because we understand that having the board and members from the county council present gives us leverage. That was one point. The importance of consolidating the committees and the meetings, as I've already talked about, was another important suggestion or takeaway message. Prioritizing. There are many things that we could be doing. If we try to do all of them, we will not really be able to accomplish as much. So we must decide what it is we most want to work on, and then collectively across all of our organizations work together in that regard. In addition, we know families are incredibly important, and we must think about them in everything that we do and think about how we can support them. And lastly, in terms of the goals, is making sure that we have a birth to 5 focus, because starting early makes a difference. And so starting even earlier than preschool, the evidence shows can make an important difference. The last thing I want to talk to you about before I yield my time back is I want to talk to you about the University of Maryland's College Park's commitment to early childhood education in Prince George's County. Some of you know about some of these projects, some of you may not. The first one I want to talk to you about is a project that has been going on at the Samuel Chase Judy Center since last fall with Ms. Hall and Ms. Holly. It's a program focused on early literacy that brings together mothers of very young babies. For 10 weeks, they get breakfast, they get support, and the focus is on early literacy. This was part of an effort between the School of Social Work at the University of Maryland in Baltimore and College Park. It's called an Empower Project. And it went so well in Prince George's County. It didn't go quite as well in Baltimore City, but it went so well in Prince George's County that Dr. Grothwallner, who's the secretary or the superintendent for early childhood, has now asked us to put in a proposal to expand the model outside into other aspects of this, other areas of the state and Judy centers. So it's because of the good work that we've done and that happened in Prince George's County that's now being expanded beyond the county. In addition, we at our center received a grant focused on early childhood special educators. We chose to focus that grant toward the development of a summer institute, which will happen in June, at the end of June, for the early childhood special educators in Prince George's County. I've been working with Diane and her team on that, and we're bringing together an array of experts who will work with teachers around that. Teachers will get stipends. There will be no charge to anyone who attends, and they will get stipends for participating. We have our students placed in Prince George's County Public Schools, and I also want to tell you about, this is very preliminary, but Dr. Joseph told me I could mention it. There had been preliminary conversations between Dr. Joseph and some at the university about an initiative around early childhood education focused on professional development, which would be a sustained collaboration between us, particularly in our center, and between Prince George's County early childhood education around professional development in a way that is cohesive, that is sustained, and that is really targeted at the level of the teachers. So we have a meeting scheduled in May to follow up on that, but that is just one of the other initiatives. So I thank you for your time. If I have time, I'm happy to take questions. I don't have time. I have no time. No questions.
Again, if you have any questions, please put them on your note card, and we will address those at a later time.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is Dr. Lynch's and my pleasure to, at this time, share with you two activities, Raising a Reader and Learning Parties, that the Early Childhood Office implemented this school year to support family engagement. Some of you may still be asking the question, why is family engagement important? I am so glad you asked. According to an article published in the National Association for the Education of Young Children, meaningful family engagement supports early children's school success and also later academic success. So in other words, the most accurate predictors are not income or social status, but it is a home that supports and encourages learning and parental involvement in children's academics in the school and in the community. So as we continue our efforts this school year and further to support parent engagement and our children in Prince George's County's school readiness skills, we're going to collaborate with Dr. Sheila Jackson, Office of Family and Community Development, and our partnership with the County Executive's Transforming Neighborhood Initiative will increase. As a matter of fact, 36 of the 51 Raising a Reader schools are a part of the Transforming Neighborhood Initiative. Judy Centers have 7 Raising a Reader schools, and the remaining Raising a Reader schools are a part of the pre-K expansion grant. So now at this time, we're going to look at our 2 activities, and we're going to begin with Raising a Reader. So as we look at Raising a Reader, it's a national early literacy family engagement program for children infant to 8 years of age. However, here in Prince George's County, we focused on 3 and 4-year-olds in Head Start and 4-year-olds in pre-kindergarten. And this program helps parents develop a book sharing routine with their children. Maryland State Department of Education and Prince George's County Public Schools sponsored the program in collaboration with the Prince George's County Memorial Library System. Our librarians and our literacy outreach specialists, they were an integral part of this process. Again, there are 51 Head Start and pre-kindergarten and Judy Center classrooms that are participating in this weekly book rotation program that's facilitated and led by our Prince George's County Head Start and pre-kindergarten teachers. The teachers were trained by Raising a Reader coaches and coordinators, which are members of the early childhood staff. So now, Dr. Viola Lynch, principal of Barnaby Manor Elementary School, is going to share her school community's experience as a Raising a Reader site.
Good afternoon. I house both Head Start and pre-kindergarten, 2 of each, and we are full day for everything. Our year started in January of 2014, so we have been a part of Raising a Reader for the past, this is our 3rd year. We started with the training of our Head Start and pre-K teachers by the Early Childhood Department, and Ms. Williams was one of the individuals who trained our teachers, because they were also trained in Raising a Reader. Following the training of our teachers, and they also had to train me as well, we proceeded with our kickoff, which was to train our parents, as well as introduce the program to our students. Well, to make this fun, because these are 3 and 4-year-olds, so you gotta entertain them. We had it at the Oxon Hill Library. The students got to meet Elmo. Elmo came and read with the students and took them on the tour of Oxon Hill Library. While they had the entertainment, the parents was in a different room. Is that Elmo? Which one is that? Cookie Monster. Wrong one. Okay, don't tell my sons I don't know the difference. Okay, Cookie Monster was the one that showed up. All right. I don't know, Elmo just didn't make it that day. All right, so while the kids were with Cookie Monster up there, the parents were with the Raising a Reader staff. The Raising a Reader staff discussed the whole Raising a Reader program. Then they gave them strategies about how they could help their children at home read and how to select books that are for pre-K and Head Start students. Because as you know, that's a challenge. We always hear, how do I choose the most appropriate books? Once they had their meeting, the children came back. They were excited. Some of them even had Cookie Monster's hand. So they walked in and they got back with their parents. The students received this bag. And she's holding it up, and each table has a red bag. We ain't opened it just yet, but we all have the bags. And these bags are what the students all got to have one of. So I want you to imagine some 3 and 4-year-olds walking around with a red bag. They were excited, and they did exactly what you did. They tried to open them. In these red bags, some of them didn't try. People already opened theirs. We saw it. In those red bags are 4 pre-selected books. The students took the books home on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Now, we didn't choose Mondays because, some days we off on Mondays. So we chose days where we were guaranteed the kids would be at school, which hopefully was that Tuesday and Thursday. So now, at this time, so you can see what the students experience, open your red bags. And for those of you who are outside, you can turn around for them. You have 1 minute to look at those books. I was told to shrink it down to maybe about 45 seconds, so I'm going to speed that up just a little bit. About 10 more seconds. All right, I've been told it is time. So now I want you to imagine the students with these books as they walk through the door. Now, these are the bags that they carried every day, the beautiful, shiny little books. This taught them responsibility. They had to learn how to take care of them because they had to give them back. So we couldn't afford to have the books torn up. And then they got a whole new set of books. This also helped the school Raising Reader program. We became more mindful of our early childhood and literacy by implementing programs that led to dramatics with our early childhood grades, involving the parents in workshops, having healthy foods instead of cupcakes when we had our parent activities at night. It led us to Oxon Hill Library partnering with us with the early childhoods, leading to a boy-girl book club. The expansion was tremendous behind the leadership of and our guidance with early childhood with the Raising Reader program. Some of the feedback that we received from the parents regarding, the Raising Reader was, I think the Raising a Reader program is great. It's a great way to introduce books to children. I'm trying to speed up. They say, watch my time. I think it is a great program that helps promote reading. It helped my daughter as she looks forward to reading the book. She is very interactive when it comes to reading, turning the pages, looking at the pictures, and trying to tell the story based on the pictures. It helped my child with his vocabulary. So this has been a great experience for Barnaby Manor. Now I'm going to turn it back over. I'm sorry, she just told me I had a question. Yes. Oh, okay. And I forgot one thing, and I'm trying to watch my time really quickly. At the end of the year, I'm going to let you hold it up, we have the blue bag party. It's like a graduation. They get another bag where they get a celebration. There's a book, the application for the library, some more reading strategy, and they get to party. So that's like the end of the year graduation ceremony. So this, and in the book, you will see different activities that went along with the nice little blue bag. At this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Victoria.
Thank you so much for allowing us to share one of the parent engagement activities. On your table is another blue bag that talks about learning parties. But at this time, our time has run out, and we won't be able to share. But you can look in the bag. Thank you.
What we'll do is we'll provide information about the learning parties just as a follow-up because we are cognizant of our time. We'll provide a full recap of the learning parties, where they were held, how many parents attended, the questions that we know you would ask. We'll provide that in a feedback to Aisha to provide to the board members. So our last portion of our work session, and we thank you for hanging in there with us. We know this is the big part of this session. We're going to take a look at a proposed plan for our universal pre-kindergarten program and recommendations for next possible steps. Thank you. So when we think about our universal pre-K plan, the universal pre-K plan proposal will look at where we currently are and our options for conversions of half days to full days, the increasing of full day programs, as well as giving access to families that we are traditionally not servicing because of the income requirement. This plan will look at a joint collaboration between PG County, the school system, and our community child care providers. When we look at our universal pre-K plan, based on our KRA demographic data, looking at where our student demographics are, when we look at that prior care information, we know that this year's data is showing us that we had about 1,900 children that were at home or in formal care. So we'll start to look to see how can we address servicing our children in Prince George's County. So we're going to start first by looking at where we currently are. Page 30 of your booklet shows you the pre-kindergarten Head Start Early Childhood Directory. In that directory, you see a listing of all of the schools, those that have Head Start programs, those that have pre-K programs, and even if there's not a pre-K or Head Start program offered, where families are to go for a pre-kindergarten option, because every school is indeed assigned a location for pre-K. When we look at where our programs are located, we currently have half-day seats, 74 classrooms that are servicing 2,960 children. Our full-day programs are in 80 classrooms, servicing 1,600 children. For Head Start, we have 57 classrooms. That's 932 children serviced by county seats and 120 students serviced in government seats. These two charts here, or graphics here, are showing you where our programs are currently versus where the free and reduced meals students, the 65% or higher rate, where we consider the need for programs are. So as you can see, we are servicing our students in our pre-kindergarten and Head Start programs. However, when you look at the two graphs, you're noticing that many of our programs that are servicing our students of high need, the 65% farms rate or higher, are serviced by half-day programs. While we've made great efforts to increase our full-day programs, we still show that many of these programs remain half-day where there is a great area of need. Yes, Dr. Joseph. So the chart on the left is showing where our Head Start, by the triangle, the pre-K full days are the green dots, and then the purple dots are the half-day programs. And then the chart on the right is showing schools that have 65% free and reduced meal student population. So we would consider that 65% to be where our greatest need schools are. I hear a lot of buzz, so I'll give you a moment just to look at that. Okay, so now if you turn to page 39 in your booklet, we're going to start talking about properties listed that are potential sites for consideration for the expansion of pre-kindergarten. We're going to highlight a few because these are the sites that we feel have the most potential for immediate use for expansion of our pre-kindergarten program. The first being the location that you have here, and there are pictures that are available in your book. So you have the listing on page 39, followed by the actual pictures of the sites that are mentioned on page 39 and 40. There are several pictures of those sites there. So this first site here is a former Prince George's County Public Schools building that's now owned by the Al-Huda, who are currently interested in selling the property. This property is located in the Hollywood Elementary School area, the northern area of our county, and work with our CIP office. We were told that it would cost about an average of $1.5 million to renovate this building up to standard to be able to house 360 children on a full-day basis. The second property, and this one has even greater potential, is on Sheridan Street, which is also in the northern part of our county, Riverdale, Maryland. It's currently a county-owned building, transferred to the county, but this, as you can see, is a vacant building. Again, we can transform the building about $1.5 million to be able to serve 360 children. If you look on page 39, you have additional sites that could be for consideration. I do want to point out that on page 40, just as a point of clarification, where it says on their underdeveloped sites, Prince George's County school sites that may be underutilized, we're not talking about the physical buildings. We're talking about the land. So when you see on here Mary Harris Mother Jones, we know that they have a capacity concern, but there's acres around the Mary Harris Mother Jones area that could be considered for pre-K expansion possibilities. Same thing with Cool Springs, Glen Ridge, and Port Towns. Not the school building itself, but the acreage around those areas. The next we want to talk about is some additional possibilities. Prince George's County Public Schools has MOUs with 3 community-based child care centers, and these MOUs came as a result of the pre-K expansion grants that I spoke of earlier. Those grants were also made available to the community daycares. So we have MOUs with 3 community-based child care centers under the MSDE Federal Pre-K Expansion Grant. One of those centers being Thimba Creative Learning Center in Lanham. They have one pre-K class that houses 20 children. This is located in the Magnolia Elementary School area. They have a half-day program. Thimba's offering a full-day program. The other one being Kitty Academy in Oxon Hill, one pre-K classroom that serves 20 children. And the third one is the Laurie Center, who will have a location in the Hyattsville area to service preschool therapeutic students in their school building beginning in the 2016-17 school year. The last opportunity that we want to consider are community partners with our child care centers, because we know that space is an issue within our schools. But we do have great opportunities, such as what will be described to you in a second, to partner with our child care centers to be able to house what is considered a public pre-K. So Flora G is the director of the Greenbelt Children's Center, and Flora has been a community child care partner of Prince George's County Public Schools for about 15 years now. Inside of Greenbelt Children's Center is a public pre-K classroom. So Prince George's County has provided Flora's Child Care Center with a teacher and a paraprofessional, as well as all the materials and supplies, and we monitor that classroom who services our students on a full-day basis. The difference is that they're in a child care facility. So I'd like for Flora to speak about her experiences as a partner with the school system.
I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you today, and for the 15 years that I've been in collaboration with Prince George's County Public Schools operating a public pre-kindergarten program. I want to tell you that there are such good benefits for the children and the families, because our programs are open not just 6 hours, not just 2.5 hours. Our programs are open from 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. That is really, really supporting a family that has full-time occupation, which they need to have. We really want to help the children to be prepared to be ready for kindergarten, but not just kindergarten. We want to see those third grade tests go up. We want to see high school graduation rates improve. We want to see the benefits to the community. And if you look at the research on early childhood, you'll find that the best investment we can make is in early childhood, because it pays off in great dividends at the end. So when you have parents dropping children off in a child care program, they get a chance to interact with the teacher that is working there with the children. They have a good role model for how you talk respectfully to children, how you handle situations. They build relationships. This is really important. We don't have little kids that are getting on buses and going off to places, and parents and teachers don't have a lot of chance for interaction. They have daily interaction, twice a day, opportunities to talk to each other. We are year-round. We offer comprehensive services. We help parents out by getting free dental screenings, and we'll arrange for hearing and vision screenings. And this year we found community partners that came in and did occupational therapy screenings, and we had speech and language screenings. So there are a lot of community partners that will help to make sure that we are doing a good job with our children and that we are really building sustainable communities. I really have to commend the early childhood personnel that you see here today, because I've been in early childhood for 40 years in Prince George's County, and I can remember being a child care provider and feeling very much like a stepsister to education. I want to tell you that the people who work in the field here in Prince George's County really do reach out to the community. They really do invite the child care providers to the training. When a child care provider goes to trainings and they're elbow to elbow with public school teachers, it raises their self-respect, it raises their esteem in the community. It's a very good situation. When you take a public school teacher and you embed them in a child care program, it's like having a big sister in the house. We learn from each other. It's a two-way street. They bring in lots of resources and lots of knowledge about things, but so do the teachers that work in childcare. It is definitely a win-win situation, and I really do want to commend that they are now reaching out to other childcare programs to do this. It's a lot more cost-effective than the $1.5 million to do capital improvements in areas. And I want to just say one last thing, that we will know we've done a good job when we start hearing the families say, I want to move to Prince George's County because of the school system there. That's when we'll know we've done a good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Flora. So on page 45, beginning on page 45, you see some possible considerations for child care providers who at this time meet that Excels level accreditation of a 3, 4, or 5, that each one of those sites beginning on page 45 have the potential of housing at least one classroom, 20 students based on their space available to them. So when we think back to where we've been today, our focus still going to remain being a target of 5% growth each year. And once those KRA scores are released on April 26th, we do welcome the opportunity to come back and talk about our progress that we've made. We do believe that the pathway to college and career readiness begins with early childhood, and we thank you for your support of early childhood programs. And we talk about next steps, so I'm going to go real quickly with the next steps. So when we think about next steps, our first implications come with budget proposals, and that is to increase staff to monitor and support pre-K and Head Start programs. When you look in your booklet beginning on page, I believe that's 46, you see a listing of the staff. 47, the staff that are available in the early childhood office and how many pre-K, Head Start, and/or kindergarten classrooms that each one of them are monitoring. We're asking for an increase of staff to help support the monitoring of our programs. We're looking for increased funding to support instructional resources, such as the Waterford program that was spoke of earlier in our presentation, a cost of about $400,000 to implement across all those classrooms, an increase in the number of full-day classrooms, also working with our CIP office to see what are those additional options other than the ones we've already explored to expand pre-K, looking for increased funding opportunities for professional development, continue to collaborate with our community partners to have that cohesive network. As you see, it took the village to get us here today. It's going to take a village to keep us going and further on as we move forward to success in early childhood and school readiness, and then continue to seek grant opportunities to increase the quality of our early childhood experiences. I thank you all on behalf of the early childhood team, on behalf of Laura Barbie Matthews, who's the coordinating supervisor for early childhood programs, for your time, your commitment to early childhood programs. And with that, we are out of time. So I do ask, if you have questions, if you take the opportunity to jot them down on your index cards, we will collect those cards, respond to those questions in a timely manner. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, colleagues, we are a little over, but of course I want to give my board colleagues, if you have any closing 30 to 60-second thoughts that you would like to provide to leave with us, I'll welcome that. I saw Ms. Boston; she wanted to grab that mic so bad. Ms. Boston.
Great job. I just wanted to say that I think it was a great job. I really liked the information at the end on how we can move forward with this program, and you gave us, I think, cost savings ideas on how we can expand early learning. So thank you. Great job.
Just quickly, I also want to thank everyone for all your work and just looking at different initiatives from, what is this called? Raising a Reader. I mean, just looking at all of those different approaches and outreaching to partners and learning from each other. I mean, all those things are key elements. So just thank you for pressing on, and thank you for also giving us feedback around things that we can look at for cost effectiveness.
You guys did an amazing job. I love the quote, "It takes a village to raise a child." I think I started my my term with that quote. I really, really appreciate how much work you are putting into building a strong foundation for us. I do believe that the stronger the foundation, the stronger the house as they grow older and progress through elementary school and middle school and adhere to the Common Core and everything. So just want to say thank you and great job, and continue the great work.
Anybody else? All right, wonderful. I'll conclude with one quick thought. I heard a great quote recently that was attributed to John Wooden, the famous coach from UCLA, and it goes, "The things you learn after you already know it all is what counts." So as a proud know-it-all, I can tell you that I really I really did learn a lot today. And board members, for us, on a serious note, there are a couple of our colleagues that haven't participated in these work sessions. We got to get them in here so that they can learn along with us and engage with us and be ready to take action. And we need to make that commitment, and we will moving forward. So I'm so proud of the work that you've all done. I can very proudly go home to my wife, who's an early childhood expert and policy analyst, and tell her how wonderful this was, and not to worry. She'll have 1,000 questions, and I'll write them down. Do please also, I did have a few on my card. I'm sure you did too, board members. Please do fill out your board evaluation, and if you have yellow cards, ask the questions and put your name on it so that the team can make sure that they answer all of your questions. So with that, just I need to go, let's see, so follow-up item 5.0, the board members please review the follow-up items in board docs, and particularly there are follow-up items related to the Head Start committee and the minutes for the Head Start committee. Our good early childhood work, that is in board docs. Please do check that out. And unless anyone objects, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the work session. It has been moved and seconded. You still didn't get the second. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn work session. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say no. We are adjourned. And by the way, we're going to have a work session at Oxon Hill High School before the year is out. All the staff can now roll their eyes.